BBC News, Washington.
Well, let's stick with this story for the time being. Joining us is Joanna Chiu. She's author of the soon-to-be-published book China Unbound and a journalist at the Toronto Star. She's followed this case closely and joins us live from Vancouver. Ms. Chiu, thank you very much for being with us. Were you surprised by the speed at which events happened in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, we had heard that a deal was kind of taking place that would get Meng released, but most people assumed that Beijing would at least try to have some sort of deniability that the two Michaels were taken as hostages, because in the last several years they kept maintaining that the cases weren't linked. But the fact that as soon as she was on a plane leaving Vancouver to China, that the two Michaels were soon on their way home as well, while it's such a very, very happy occasion, especially for people who knew the two Michaels, I think it also gave a lot of people pause, because it seemed very blatant that China didn't feel qualms about the fact that these men were essentially political hostages.
And meanwhile, in China, it was a hero's welcome for Meng Wanzhou.
Yeah, like crowds of people singing, waving flags, a lot of patriotic language and lots of red colors. So it definitely seemed like a big show. I think it was targeted a lot towards a domestic audience in China, because Huawei is its national champion, it's a country's pride, and it underscores how important her release was to Beijing, because her detention in Canada, even though she was free to move around, living in her mansion, was seen as a very grave insult to the whole country as a whole, not just to a particular company.
What's her image in China, and how has this case dented or changed that?
Yeah, she's basically royalty. One of the more prominent female executives in China. Her father was a member of the People's Liberation Army, very well connected. Her family, on her mom's side as well, is well connected to the country's top brass. So her detention really sparked off a lot of the conflict not just between Canada and China, but definitely it was a big point of contention between the US and China. And it's not clear right now that tensions are actually going to simmer down. There continues to be a lot of tension between different countries, and China's taking of the two Michaels really kind of sent shockwaves around the world. A lot in my book, I talk about how a lot of Western countries felt that they were immune to more of the negative repercussions of China's growing authoritarianism, that they could just continue to benefit economically, expand trade, etc., without worrying about some of the more draconian direction China's going into. But I think this hostage taking made many countries, UK, all across Europe, Australia, a lot more wary. But in the last few years, I criticize how this kind of wariness hasn't been met with actual concrete changes, any concrete policy changes or resources given to improve the level of China expertise in governments. Even in the US cabinet, basically no one senior or even less senior levels have much China experience at all.
Okay, Joanna Chiu, author of the upcoming book China Unbound. Appreciate your insights. Thanks for being with us.